December 5th, 2014, from Levi Stadium in Santa Clara, California, was the Pac-12 championship as the Arizona Wildcats faced the Oregon Ducks. So to start things off, the Ducks got the ball first. They had it on their own 20, and Marcus Mariota passed the ball to Devon Allen for a 14-yard reception and a first down at the Oregon 34. The Ducks were then faced with a 3rd and 1 on the 43, and Royce Freeman ran it for 9 yards and the first down to bring the ball across midfield and into Arizona territory at the 48 for a first down for the Ducks. Then on 2nd and 6 from the 44, Marcus Mariota passed it to Darren Carrington for a 23-yard reception to make it a first down on the 21 of Arizona for Oregon. They weren't able to get into the end zone or get another first down, so on 4th and 5 from the 16, out would come Schneider to attempt a 34-yard field goal. It was up, it was good, and the Ducks were on the scoreboard first with the score: Oregon 3, Arizona nothing. So now on the kickoff, Arizona ended up fumbling the ball, and Oregon ended up with the ball right back, and they now had it on the Arizona 37. As Arizona was yet to have a play from scrimmage. There was a holding penalty against the Ducks on the first play, though, and that would move them back to the 47. And then on 2nd and 20, Marshall ran for 6 yards. And on 3rd and 14 from the Arizona 41, Marcus Mariota found Darren Carrington for an 18-yard pass and a first down that brought the ball to the Arizona 23. The Ducks were then faced with a 3rd and 1 on the 14, and Royce Freeman ran it 4 yards for the first down on the 10 to make it 1st and goal. They weren't able to get into the end zone, and so they went for another field goal. Schneider then attempted a 22-yarder. It was up, it was good, and the score was now Oregon 6, Arizona nothing. So 2 possessions, 2 field goals, and now Arizona finally got the ball, and they finally got to get a play off from scrimmage. They started at their own 41 after a 40-yard return by Terrell Johnson. He was the one who had fumbled it the first chance they had. And so then on 2nd and 6 from the 45, Solomon found Griffey for a 10-yard pass and a first down in Oregon territory across midfield at the 45 of the Ducks for the Wildcats. Then on 2nd and 1 from the 36, Solomon ran it for 2 yards and the first down to bring the ball to the Oregon 34. They were then faced with a 3rd and 17 from the 41, and Solomon would end up just picking up 4 yards, and so out would come the punting unit, as actually Solomon punted the ball as well. And so now the Ducks would take over with about 5.5 minutes left in the first. They had it on their own 20. They'd be faced with a 3rd and 2 from the 28, and Mariota found Allen for a 7-yard reception and the first down at the 35. Charles Nelson then ran for 33 yards as he brought the ball across midfield and into Arizona territory for a first down on the 32. But then they ended up faced with a 4th and 3 on the 25, and they elected to go for it, and an incomplete pass would turn the ball over on downs. So for the first time in this game, the Ducks did not score on a possession. So now the Wildcats would take over on their own 25 with about 2.5 minutes left in the first. They would end up going 3 and out and punting the ball to the Ducks. So now the Ducks got the ball on their own 44 with about a minute left in the first. And then on 2nd and 14 from the 40, this is after a penalty, a false start. So 2nd and 14 from the 40, Mariota found Marshall, but he lost a yard, and that brought the first quarter to a close. So after 1 quarter of play, the score was Oregon 6, Arizona 0. So it opened up the second quarter. The Ducks had the ball on their own 39, faced with a 3rd and 15, and an incomplete pass would bring out the punting unit as the Ducks went 3 and out for the first time in this game. They punted it to Arizona, and Arizona now went 3 and out for the 2nd consecutive possession. And they punted it back to the Ducks, who now took over at midfield in Arizona territory at the 49 with a little over 13 minutes left on the clock before halftime. Freeman ran for 9 yards and then another 3 yards on 2nd and 1, and it was now a first down on the 37 of Arizona for the Ducks. Mariota then went to Marshall, but there was a roughing the passer call against the Wildcats, and so it would be a first down on the 22 for the Ducks. Then on 3rd and 6 from the 18, Marcus Mariota found Brandon Marshall for a 10-yard reception and a first down that made it 1st and goal on the 8. So now the Ducks were poised right here to get into the end zone as they've settled for a couple of field goals so far. and they would end up faced with a 4th and goal on the 1. Then a couple of false starts would push them all the way back to the 10, and they would have to go for another field goal. Schneider came out for the 27-yarder. It was up, and it was no good. So he missed his first field goal of the night, and the score remains 6-0. So now with about a little over 10 minutes left on the clock in the third, Arizona got the ball back. They would go 3 and out for the 3rd straight possession, as on 3rd down, Solomon was sacked by DeForest Buckner, and so out would come the punting unit. So now the Ducks got the ball back. They head on the Arizona 39. There's about 8.5 minutes on the clock in the second quarter. They were faced with a 2nd and 1 from the 30, and Mariota hit Carrington for a 9-yard pass and a first down that brought the ball to the 21. Then on 3rd and 10 from the 21, an incomplete pass, but there was pass interference against the Wildcats. Now it's 1st and goal on the 7 for the Ducks. Marcus Mariota runs it in for the 7-yard touchdown to score the first touchdown of this game and extend the Ducks' lead to 13, as it was now Oregon 13, Arizona nothing. So now the Wildcats would get the ball with about 7.5 minutes left before halftime, but they went 3 and out for the 4th consecutive possession. So they punted it back to the Ducks, as the Ducks defense was just shutting them down. So now Oregon had the ball on their own 39, but they would end up going 3 and out, as they were forced to punt from their own 25 after moving backwards from some penalties. So now Arizona would get the ball back, and they would go 3 and out for the 5th consecutive time. And in this possession, Solomon was sacked on 2nd and 3rd down. On 2nd down and 9, he was sacked by Tony Washington. On 3rd and 15, he was sacked by Taroni Prevat. Excuse my pronunciation on that. There's no way I said that right. But they ended up having to punt it. And so now the Ducks would get the ball back with less than 4 minutes left in the first half. They had it on their own 21. They ended up being faced with a 3rd and 16 from their own 15. And Marcus Mariota found Charles Nelson for a 74-yard reception that brought the ball pretty much the length of the field all the way down to the Arizona 11. A false start, though, moved them back to the 16. And then on 1st and 15 from the 16, Marshall picked up 3 yards. And on 2nd and 12 from the 13, Keenan Lowe picked up 9 yards. And it was now 3rd and 3 on the 4. And Marcus Mariota ran it in for a 2nd touchdown this game. This one from 4 yards out. And now the Ducks were up by 20 with the score Oregon 20, Arizona nothing. So now Arizona would get the ball with about a minute and a half left before halftime. They had it on their own 21, and they went 3 and out for the 6th consecutive possession, as the Ducks were just dominant on defense. So now the Ducks get the ball back with about a minute left on the clock. They had it on their own 23, and on 2nd and 10 from the 23, Royce Freeman ran it 23 yards all the way to the 46 for the first down. Freeman then ran for 12 yards for the first down, bringing it across midfield to the Arizona 42. Marcus Mariota then found Carrington for a 15-yard pass and was now at the 27. And then on 2nd and 10 from the 27, Bassett ran for 13 yards and a first down that brought the ball into the red zone at the Arizona 14. Oregon called a timeout as there was just 3 seconds on the clock. Schneider came in to attempt another field goal, this one from 31 yards out. It was up, it was good, as he was 3 for 4 in the first half. And now the score was 23-0, Oregon over Arizona, as the Ducks were dominating this Pac-12 championship game. So at halftime, the score, Oregon 23, Arizona 0. So now to open up the second half of the Pac-12 championship, Arizona would get the ball first. They had it on their own 28, trailing by 23. They were faced with a 3rd and 6 from the 32. Scroggins ran for 6 yards in the first down that brought it to the 38. But then they were faced with a 4th and 1 on the 47, and Nick Wilson was stopped for no gain, and the Wildcats turned the ball over on downs. So now the Ducks would take over on the Arizona 47 with about 12.5 minutes left in the third. They were faced with a 2nd and 4 from the 41, and Mariota passed to Allen for a 16-yard reception and a first down on the 25. Then on 2nd and 4 from the 19, Mariota went to Marshall for a 9-yard pass and was now 1st and goal on the 10. And then Freeman ran for 6 yards, and then Mariota passed to Devon Allen for a 4-yard touchdown pass, and the score was now Oregon 30, Arizona 0. So now the Wildcats would get the ball with about 10.5 minutes left in the third. They had it on their own 30. They were faced with a 2nd and 9 from the 31, and that's when Jesse Scroggins hit Cayleb Jones with a 69-yard touchdown pass. As Scroggins was in the game, and the Wildcats put their first points on the scoreboard after Oregon had 30 unanswered points. So now the score was Oregon 30, Arizona 7. So now the Ducks had the ball on their own 32 with 9.5 minutes left in the third. They were faced with a 2nd and 5 from the 37. Freeman ran for 6 yards in the first down to bring the ball to the 43. Mariota then passed to Carrington for his 46-yard reception. They made a first down in the red zone for the Ducks on the Arizona 11. And that's when Marcus Mariota dropped back and hit Darren Carrington for an 11-yard touchdown pass to make it 37-7. Ducks over the Wildcats. This is back to a 30-point lead. So now Arizona will get the ball with about 8 minutes left in the third. They had it on their own 22. They were faced with a 3rd and 2 from the 30, and Scroggins with the hill. He picked up 6 in the first down, but then on 2nd and 10 from the 36, Scroggins was intercepted by Eric Dargan. He ran it back 24 yards, and it was a first down for the Ducks on the Arizona 23 with about 6.5 minutes left in the third. Then on 2nd and 6 from the 19, Mariota went to Freeman for a 14-yard pass and was now 1st and goal on the 5. And a few plays later, after a penalty actually against Arizona for interference, made it 1st and goal on the 2. And then a 1-yard run by Freeman. And now 2nd and goal on the 1. Marcus Mariota takes it in himself to make it 44-7. Ducks over the Wildcats. So now the Wildcats would get the ball and they would go 3 and out and punt it back to Oregon, who now took over with 4.5 minutes left in the third. They had it on their own 20. They picked up some first downs, but they would end up punting from the Arizona 48 after 6 plays. So now Arizona took over with about 2.5 minutes left in the third. They had it on their own 20. They would bring the ball into Oregon territory, but on 3rd and 3 from the Oregon 42, Jerrard Randall was stopped for a 3-yard loss, and that brought the third quarter to a close with the score Oregon 44, Arizona 7. So now to open up the fourth quarter, the Wildcats would punt the ball to the Ducks, and the Ducks would go 3 and out and punt it back to the Wildcats. So now the Wildcats got the ball with less than 14 minutes on the clock. They had it on their own 36. And they would bring the ball to midfield and into Oregon territory. They got it all the way to the 28. But then on 3rd and 8, they lost 3 yards with a run by Randall. And on 4th and 11, they had a false start. Now it's 4th and 16 from the 36. They elected to go for it. They got stuffed for no gain. So they turned the ball over on downs, and now the Ducks would take over with about 10 minutes left in this game, as they already were well ahead. It was way out of reach. They are the Pac-12 champions, but there was still 10 minutes on the clock. And unless some kind of craziness happened, they were going to win. But they picked up some first downs on this drive, on 3rd downs too. They were faced with a 3rd and 5 on the 41, and they had Jeff Locke in there now as Mariota came out the game. He should be getting the Heisman in New York in the very near future, as they're going to be announcing that in the weeks to come. But he made a definite statement in this game. But right here, Locke, he still kept the offense going. Then on 3rd and 1 from the 40, Benoit picked up 2 yards and another first down, and he picked up another first down on 2nd and 6 from the 34 with a 12-yard run. And then on 2nd and 7 from the 19, Kenny Bassett ran it in from 19 yards out for the touchdown to make it Oregon 51, Arizona 7. So the Wildcats get the ball with about 4 minutes left in the game, but after 5 plays, they would punt it from the 49 after having had it on their 41 after a 29-yard return by Terrell Johnson. They punted the ball. The Ducks got it back. It was about 2.5 minutes left in this game. They ended up going 3 and out and punted it back to Arizona. And on the final play of the game, Jerrard Randall ended up running it in for a touchdown, a 25-yard touchdown, and that made it Oregon 51, Arizona 13, as they got that last touchdown, on the final play for the Wildcats. Just an interesting little play for nothing. But the final score, though, 51-13, Oregon over Arizona. The Ducks are going to remain, at the very least, the number 2 team in the nation. They will be in the playoffs, And the BCS, as they are the Pac-12 champions, came into this game the number 2 ranked team in the nation. They're 12-1 on the season, 8-1 in the Pac-12. Arizona came in ranked number 7. They're now 10-3 on the season, 7-2 in the Pac-12. They were a good team, but Oregon just blew them out, dominated them on offense and on defense. They started off the game with 30 unanswered points, and Arizona just never knew what hit them. And Marcus Mariota, he's up for the Heisman, and he's got my vote, as he had a dominant performance once again. He's had an amazing season, and in this game he was 25 for 38. He had 313 yards passing and 2 touchdowns through the air. And he also had 10 carries for 33 yards and 3 touchdowns rushing. So 5 total touchdowns for Marcus Mariota, as he makes a definite statement to the nation, as does Oregon, about the type of team that they are. And Royce Freeman had 21 carries for 114 yards on the ground. He also had 14 yards receiving off of 1 reception. He was the leading rusher in the game. The leading receiver was Darren Carrington. He had 7 receptions for 126 yards and a touchdown. Charles Nelson also had 7 receptions for 104 yards for the Ducks. He also had 4 carries for 44 yards rushing as well. So the Ducks just dominant in this game. In Arizona, Anu Solomon was 6 for 12 for just 34 yards passing. He had negative 23 yards rushing off of 6 carries, as he was dominated by Oregon's defense. They had Jesse Scroggins come in. He was 3 for 11, just 79 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. And he had 12 yards rushing off of 4 carries. Their leading rusher was Jerrard Randall. He had 10 carries for 81 yards and that touchdown on the final play of the game. And their leading receiver was Cayleb Jones with 2 receptions for 71 yards. And the lone interception in this game came from Oregon. That was Eric Dargan, who had that interception. So the Ducks dominate in the Pac-12 championships. They are the Pac-12 champions, the champions of the Pac-12. And they are number 2 at least, maybe even number 1. We'll see how things wrap up throughout the weekend and all these games that they're playing with the championships. But they're definitely in the Final Four. They're definitely going to that BCS championships playoffs, and they very well could end up in the national title game with the way they're playing. So the final score, Oregon 51, Arizona 13.